Hey guys, Master Ningen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and today we are doing a challenge run on the transformation boost stage of Super Battle Road using an all Majin Buu team. So you can see the wheel in the bottom right there. Every single unit on the team is one of the many forms of Majin Buu. All of them are on the transformation boost category. I guess technically we could have done the Majin Buu saga stage as well, but I decided to do this one. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to put these guys in the first rotation, because all three of these units lower attack, but obviously Buuhan has type advantage over Piccolo, so I'm so used to doing these Super Battle Road runs where they'll just super attack you straight away, so I decided to put Buuhan in the front, because if Piccolo super attacks in that first slot, at least we have type advantage over him. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a Whis. Now, all the units on this rotation lower attack, so I've tried to like spread out the attacks a little bit. Buuhan and the first Super Buu are going to attack Krillin and Tien, just so that by the time that Super Buu takes the hits from them in the middle, they have at least been attack lowered. And obviously Buuhan, they're easily able to tank the attacks from Piccolo thanks to type advantage and the Whis being active. So this run is going to be a little bit of a challenge. It definitely took me a few attempts. I mean, you see there, good old Super Battle Road, straight away getting super attacked. But quite a few of the units on this team aren't particularly good at taking hits. So we do have a lot of units which lower attack, which is very useful. We've got units like this STR Fat Buu, who is an AoE unit. He raises his attack and defense based on the amount of STR orbs you pick up. So with the Whis active and all of those orbs to collect there, plus the fact that the first two units have been attack lowered, he should tank reasonably well, especially with the Whis active as well. Then we have the physical Buu tanks. He's going to be quite useful in the fact that he is a sealer. So we go ahead and seal Krillin here, because a lot of our team is physical. So we definitely don't want Krillin super attacking somebody, especially with no defensive item active. In fact, thinking about using a second item here. Not too sure, because the Whis on its own is good, but like in that first slot with the Fat Buu, even though he does raise his defense with STR orbs, if one of those attacks in the first slot is a super attack, we will take a lot of damage and then potentially not survive the turn due to how not great the defenses are for Buu tanks and even the physical Easy A Kid Buu. So decide to double up and use the Android 8. Just helps us take a little bit less damage. So Easy A Kid Buu, obviously he's an Easy A unit, so he's got relatively decent stats. He does provide that support passive, which is going to be very, very useful. Do we get any stuns here? We'll get no stuns with Fat Buu. Okay, we're going to get additional super though, so that's pretty decent. Apart from Kid Buu and my actual Super Buu, everyone on the team is Rainbow for me, so there's still no stun. But double AoE supers is definitely nothing to complain about. Yeah, see, we got that super attack, almost 100k, so the heal from the Android 8 I think was definitely worth it. And then we seal up Krillin here, so that he can't super attack either of our physical units. So obviously we're running double Super Buu leads. Shout out to everyone who set their Super Buus for me. Like I said, it did actually take me a couple of attempts. So I think one person had a rainbow one that I of course used for the first attempt and got a very typical Super Battle Road setup where I got super attacked twice literally in like the first slot of the first turn, and so I think I didn't even survive the first turn, but there you go. So one advantage that this team does bring is the fact that most of the units on the team, I think it's all but like one, have the metamorphosis link. So just by being linked up with each other on each of the turns, they give us a little bit of free healing. And then of course Buuhan and both the STR Super Buus lower attack with their supers. That's something that's going to come in very useful, especially because on Transformation Boost Super Battle Road, the final stage is against Ultimate Gohan by himself. So whilst he does have a lot of health, there's only the one opponent, which means we'll be able to keep hitting him with attack lowering super attacks. And hopefully he won't be able to do any damage to us. So you saw there the physical Evil Buu He is the very recently an awakening for a summonable SR, and his awakening actually made him really good. I rainbowed him because I ended up using him for the no items run on Extreme Physical Super Battle Road, because he has a built-in ability to dodge. He seals with his super attack, and then he also has one of those passives where he lowers the attack of the enemy just by being on the rotation. So once we've hit a couple of the enemies with attack lowering supers, and then he's on the rotation as well, it just means we're going to take a lot less damage overall, which of course we really need on this team, because not the best tanks without any attack lowers being applied. Like Buhan, the more orbs you pick up, the more he increases his attack and defense. But I mean, you can see there, we took 300k from a super attack, and those just out of nowhere can quite quickly end runs on this mode. So the only good thing about losing so much health is we get the Piccolo transformation for the SDR Super Boo, which is actually the most useful one for Super Battle Road, because not only does he give you a small heal at the start of the turn, but he becomes a support unit that gives ki along with a little bit of a stat boost as well. That's really, really useful for this team, because one thing that will become very apparent, you've probably noticed it with the rotations that we've gone through already, but Boo units are notoriously bad for having no key links, or like one key link that is then not really shared amongst the team. Like the fact that Boo Tanks has over in a flash, but nobody else has that. And then I think STR Super Boo, does he have Fear and Faith? But like none of the other Boos have that. So there'll be a lot of rotations where everybody needs a full 6 key in order to get their super attacks, which is not ideal. So that's another way that the physical Kid Boo comes in useful as well, providing that key with his passive. So we get through the first fight. Did we use 3 items or 2? One thing, because the final fight is only against that one person, and I feel like we are going to be able to get him locked down into that attack lower and then constant sealing, I'm not too fussed about using extra items in the first 2 stages, because obviously normally on these category stages you want to spread the items out among the 3 stages as best you can, but I feel like once we've survived the first couple of turns of the fight against Gohan and we get him into that nice sealed and attack lowered state, we probably won't really need to use an item for like the rest of the fight. So it doesn't matter if we have to use a couple of extra items in the first turns here that we wouldn't normally. And we get the stun on Android 18, which is actually massive, because 18 is definitely the more dangerous of the 2 opponents because she is AGL. We have a couple of STR units on our team. Our team is basically all STR and physical apart from Buhan. So we definitely need to focus on her straight away. That's why I targeted her for the seal with Evil Boo. Didn't realise we were going to stun her and not the Android 17. Android 17, it's a little bit tricky because we've got Buhan here, obviously is going to have type disadvantage over him. So we need to be careful where we put him in terms of him getting attacks. So I decided to do this because I would rather, if Buhan's going to take 1 hit from 17, I would rather he take that hit after we manage to hit him with an attack lower super attack. So couldn't get one for Super Boo. That's the you see the links coming in to play on this turn, but at least we can hit him with a super from Buhan and lower his attack. We do have the defensive item active as well. Plus, you know, 18 is stunned, so we're not taking anywhere near as many attacks on this turn as we would. But of course, he's going to go ahead and super attack. So 260k. Yeah, and 37 from normals on the Boo Tanks. So you can see that Boo Tanks, he's kind of like an extreme version of the physical Seal Tanks, which, I mean, it makes sense from a flavor perspective that they would be so similar, but he basically does everything he does. He seals with his super attack, he gets an attack boost when performing his super attack, but he doesn't really get any sort of defensive boost at all from his actual stats or from his passive or anything like that. So it's he's not the best unit when it comes to having to take hits. So I decided to float off the Fat Boo into the last slot. Obviously, he is a very useful unit to have on rotation, but unless you're giving him STR orbs, he really doesn't do anything. And he definitely needs to pick up those orbs to actually raise his attack and defense. Because obviously, if we can get him a super attack, then, you know, he still does his AoE super. But if we're not picking up orbs, his attack is going to be super low, and then his defense is going to be low, so he's not going to be able to take hits very well either. So, of course, 17, we have type advantage over, but 18 hitting us with that type disadvantage super attack yet again. So, I mean, you can kind of see where a lot of the challenge of this run just comes into taking super attacks at the wrong time. I feel like it's been a good 3 super attacks in a row now that we've taken on the one unit on the rotation that had type disadvantage. So unfortunately, that is a thing that seems to keep coming into play during this run. So, and again, you can see here one of the big problems of this team, like the orb layout here is just not favourable to us whatsoever. So we can't really get super attacks with anyone on this rotation. Trying to figure out how to get these STR orbs to drop down, but definitely not quite what I was looking for. So I decided to put Evil Boo in the middle. Obviously he has that chance to dodge, which will be quite useful, and 17 is stunned, so we can at least hit Android 18 here with the seal. Oh, of course, we're getting the Dokkan mode, right, so I had to play this turn very carefully, because, yeah, we're getting the Dokkan mode, we couldn't get it with Buhan, and we definitely don't want to get it with Evil Boo, because he's really not going to deal a lot of damage. Okay, so I tried to deliberately drop those orbs down and put STR Super Boo in the final slot, so we could get the Dokkan attack with him, because if we can't get it with Buhan, he's the one that we need to get it with this turn, because we give it to Evil Boo, he's just going to do no damage at all. So, but STR Super Boo, this is the friend one. I believe the friend one I ended up using for this successful run has 3 dupes, and mine has 2. So he definitely is able to put out a reasonable amount of damage, especially because the emulator was playing ball there with the mouse, and we actually managed to hit all of the nodes for the Dokkan attack. So, yeah, 1 million damage. And now we get to transform. So because of the Dokkan attack, we basically go back to pretty much full health, which means we're going to get the Buhan transformation with STR Super Boo. Annoyingly, it's probably the least useful one on this mode, but it is one of the harder hitting ones, so it is going to come in handy. I'm just double checking that, waiting for those symbols to appear. So both of the units are suffering from defense down, but only 18 has attack down. So since we have type advantage over 17 anyway, makes sense to leave our STR unit in the first slot, because the AGL enemy is already suffering from attack down, and since 17 is not, and is attacking in every single slot for the rest of the turn, I decided we might as well put all of the rest of the attacks onto him and just try and get rid of him as quickly as we can, because then we can go back to applying the attack down hits onto 17, onto 18. So normally I would want to take out 18 first, just because we have so many STR units, but obviously the Dokkan attack did a lot more damage to 17 thanks to the type advantage, and then that nice little additional normal from the Buhan there means we actually managed to finish off 17. And then of course we get hit with another type disadvantage super attack. So fortunately we used the Whis though, so it wasn't too bad. Still 120,000 damage though, which is quite a lot. Obviously here I decided to put Buhan in the first slot, just because A, he lowers attack, he heals us a lot by picking up all of those orbs, and then of course if 18 does decide to go ahead and super attack, at least it's not yet another type disadvantage super. So we decide not to get any STR orbs with Fat Boo. That is going to affect like his damage, but to be honest, in this final part of this phase where we're just trying to work down on getting rid of 18, he's not really going to do a huge amount of damage to her anyway. But at least if we get him a super attack, he does have that chance to stun. Because you can see there, without picking up any STR orbs, he only had about 800k attack stat. But we managed to get the stun on the super, which is actually super useful. That big heal from Buhan, of course, putting us back to full health. So another Buhan transformation. So this is quite a hard hitting turn. Pretty sure it's going to be all over here. I don't think we can get a super for the Boo tanks, but I guess we don't really need it at this point. In fact, we can't really get supers with anyone, so I decided to keep all of those int orbs in the middle there, ready for Buhan on the next turn, because unless we get crit here, we probably, yeah, exactly, not going to be finishing off the AGL 18 on this turn. But if we can get a nice big hit from Buhan, we should be able to finish her off here. She's already attack lowered. Again, it's the same situation as last turn. We can't really put STR Boo in the front slot just in case he takes a super attack. So it took me a little while to notice the fact that these two are quite detrimental to have on a rotation together, because obviously Buhan, you want to get as many orbs as you can, but in worst case scenario, you can grab 3 int orbs, and then that is going to give him the ability to super attack. But of course, the Fat Boo changes int orbs to STR, so that's good for him, but having them on the rotation together is not super beneficial. So at some point, I definitely need to float him off and not have them together. So, but anyway, we've made it to the final fight. So this is what I was saying before. We only have the STR Ultimate Gohan as an opponent, so once we get attack lower and get him sealed, the fight shouldn't pose too much of an issue. So we managed to get that first super off with Buhan, sorry, Super Boo, and then we can't get a super attack for the one in the middle, so I decided to put Evil Boo there just in case, because you know that middle attack could be a super for all we know, and at least Evil Boo has somewhat of a chance to dodge that attack, whereas the Boo tanks wouldn't, and at least we get a super attack with him in the last slot. So as long as we make it to the end of the turn, he is then going to be sealed, and we're already applying 1 stage of attack lowering to him, and then we get an additional super with STR Super Boo, so that is actually hugely useful in this phase. Any additional supers that we can get from STR Boo or Buhan just applies additional attack lower onto Gohan. So he does start off by super attacking early, but as you can see, he's already lowered enough that he's dealing double-digit damage with the normal attacks to the STR Boo, and then 28k to Evil Boo, who, as a physical unit, who, like I said, is an awakening from a summonable SR, he doesn't exactly have the highest defensive stat in the game. So that's definitely not bad to start off with. So now we're already into that good position where we have him super attack sealed, and we've applied at least 1 attack lower to him. So I think this is where I start thinking about how to get the rotations set up the way that I want, because there's a lot of orbs here, which means we could get all of those orbs with Buhan, or we could get them all with Evil Boo, STR Boo, to push up the Dokkan attack bar, which is what I decided to do in the end, because we can still get a decent heal from Buhan by just grabbing these AGL orbs that are here, and then there's enough STR orbs there. Whilst it's not a huge amount, it's enough to give Fat Boo his super attack, which obviously if that could come through and actually stun Gohan, that would be super useful. Plus it gets Fat Boo off of the rotation, because like I was saying, I would much rather have, I want a rotation of Super Boo and Buhan, not the Fat Boo, because otherwise he will change all of those int orbs to STR, which is not what we want. But Gohan, yeah, his attack lowered now so much that he's just hitting everyone for double digits. We even get the free int unit level 5 dodge from Buhan there. Completely useless in that scenario, considering we are taking double digits. Yeah, see, even the Fat Boo, we only picked up about, what was it, 3 STR orbs and then a couple of rainbows, and he's still taking double digits from him. So we are in a pretty good position already. These are the only times when it gets risky, because obviously we don't have a sealer on both main rotations yet, which is what I'm looking to set up here. So the first attacks in that first slot could be super attacks. So I decided to take the risk and put Evil Boo there, since he does have that chance to dodge. And of course he is then going to seal him up straight away, which means he's sealed up for the rest of the turn. So all those other attacks, as long as we don't take a super in the first slot, it means all those other attacks are, we don't really have to worry about them at all. So I'm trying to figure out what to do here, because obviously I want a super attack with STR Boo as much as possible, because we need to keep applying that attack down. But there just wasn't enough orbs, so I decided to grab those few off to the side there so we can get the physical orbs for Kid Boo. Kid Boo not really going to do a huge amount of damage, like even if he gets a crit, but it's still better to give him a super attack. Yeah, see, fortunately no super. Evil Boo not dodging either of those attacks, but his attack lower has been done so much at this point that he is still dealing double digit damage to a physical unit. So yeah, that's very weak damage from Kid Boo there. So, but yeah, now I need to get our rotation set up here. I want to keep Boo Tanks on rotation, as there's enough AGL orbs there to get him a super, and then the int orbs at the side. Fortunately some more spawn at the top, so that's just a nice little boost. We don't really need the health, but it's more so to boost up Buhan's attack, because as you can see we've been through what, 5 turns maybe at this point, and we haven't exactly done the most damage to Gohan. And as you can see, the attack lower only works for a certain amount of turns, and then the ones we applied right at the beginning start to drop off. So we do need to keep hitting him with those attack lower effects in order to continually take very minimal damage. And then look at that, additional super from Buhan, also triggering the rare chance for it to become the Ghost Kamehameha as well. So now we're taking double digits again. We are back on track. So what I'm going to do is basically we keep him in this seal attack down lock pretty much for the rest of the fight. So I'm going to increase the speed because yeah, this took quite a long time just to do this last fight by itself. So I'm going to increase the actual in-game speed. As you can see here, I've turned it up to, I think it should be on like 2 times the actual speed, because this last fight by itself took quite a lot of time. But basically what we're trying to do here is I'm keeping Fat Boo on rotation because he does have that chance to stun, which is obviously going to be super useful. Keeping him on rotation with the physical Evil Boo because he is a sealer. And then we actually got the Boo Tanks transformation with STR Super Boo, which funnily enough does give him over in a flash, which means he will link up well with the physical one when we can get them together. And then yeah, keep the other rotation as Buhan and then Boo Tanks. So basically, as long as we can keep getting supers, it means every single turn he's getting hit with an attack lower and a seal. So you can see here, he's just dealing double-digit damage to us every single time. We get another additional Ghost Kamehameha super, which is super good. But you can see there, like Buhan, the hardest hitting unit on the team pretty much. And we still are only just to the point where we've gotten Gohan below the half health stage. But we get a Buhan transformation with our other Boo. Nice load of STR orbs here ready for Fat Boo, and it's kind of just a case of at this point just wearing him down. That's like I said, the only downside to there being one opponent at the end. Kind of is the same thing for the Potara Super Battle Road where you fight Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta at the end, is when there's only one opponent, there's a lot of advantages you can bring with things like attack lowering, sealing, all that kind of stuff, but they have tons of HP, so as you can see, it becomes quite the long game trying to work down all of his HP at this point. But we even get the cheeky little built-in dodge there from Evil Boo. So here I decide to switch up the rotation a little bit, just because since our other STR Boo transformed into the Boo Tank stage, he also is able to seal. He basically just becomes Boo Tanks in that form, right? So he is actually better to have on rotation, not just because he's not a physical unit, so he doesn't have type disadvantage, but the STR Super Boo is of course a Dokkan Fest exclusive. The friend has 3 dupes. So that 3 dupe version of Boo Tanks as the Super Boo is actually better than the Rainbow Super Boo, the Rainbow physical Boo Tanks in terms of their stats and abilities. So, but yeah, I've returned back to normal speed. As you can see, we're on the final sliver of health. There's a ton of STR orbs there, so I decide that I could have given it to Buhan. I guess that would have been sort of appropriate, but since that Boo put in a lot of work and is a very good awakening considering how terrible the SSR of this Extreme STR Fat Boo used to be. So I decided to give him the finishing blow with that nice big AoE explosion. And there you go, we take out Ultimate Gohan and complete the Transformation Boost Super Battle Road stage. So there you go. That is the run successfully completed. Definitely, you can see from the amounts of damage that we took in the first 2 fights from certain super attacks and stuff like that. It was, we got close a couple of times. It was definitely a challenging run, but it was definitely fun. We used 7 out of our 8 items, so that's definitely not the worst. And it wasn't far off our best time either. So there you go, something a little bit fun, running a theme team on Super Battle Road, and I hope you enjoyed. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can follow me on Twitch or join my Discord, the link is in the description below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.